morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Good Tuesday News Day. We're talking about all the good news we can find so we can bring back hope in humanity again. Got a lot of animals and medical discoveries and celebrations happening today. This is the first and only international game show, Before Coffee, a father and daughter news podcast where we look up our stories right before the show started. We just got caffeine in our bodies and we're learning to speak and read live on stream. Let's get into that good news headlines and spin that segue wheel.
A lot of things today.
Today on Good Tuesday News Day, British Columbian man is cured of rare disease and world's first new gene editing technology. And this Amazon tribe was headed for extinction. An unexpected birth brings hope.
And greetings on the American side of Good Tuesday News Day with the amazing good news. If you haven't heard it, Lego officially has announced a Snoopy's product. Peanuts. I got it wrong too, right? Snoopy officially revealed its Peanuts product and the largest, let's do this other one instead. Brazilian government halts waterway concessions after indigenous protests. Yeah.
Woohoo! Protests do work. Scientists injected stem cells into fetuses to treat a birth defect. Here's what happened. Plus, southern right whales are having fewer calves, scientists say, as warming ocean is to blame.
Wow, in America again. Accidentally, Stinky the Clown is overseeing the largest coal decline in any other president. And he didn't intend to do it. Plus, Galileo's handwritten notes are found.
In my culture news, UK's Royal Mail to celebrate 30 years of Spice Girls were commemorative coin for a wannabe anniversary.
Ooh, spicy. Oh, and also it's National I Want You to Be Happy Day. That's right, I want you to be happy. I insist you be happy. In fact, I order you to be happy. It is March 3rd, 2026 on Before Coffee.
I want to be...
It's a lot of food today.
Love how my...
Yeah. You're
a lot of food. We're eating everything today.
One of us is locking up. I don't know if it's me or you or both of us. But...
It's always you. Because your internet's worse than mine.
No, it's you too on my end.
Yeah, I'm looking great.
Like every other word. Not on my end.
My internet connection is amazing right now.
Yeah. It's all I hear is blah. If you heard that at all, that's all I heard.
I'm hearing you fine.
I can see you move. Okay, I hear you now.
Really, for me, it's not important as long as the stream looks good. So I don't care how I look on your computer. I'm looking great on the stream.
I hear what you're saying.
No, it's not. You don't listen to what I say anyways. Don't be silly.
Well, now I won't. Now you're going to say that.
Now that you've given me permission, let's roll our first segue.
What do I do with my frickin' pen? I'm so lost.
You need to attach it to your body. Tape it to your chest.
My little sleeve. Like mittens in my sweater.
Our first segue is bad pun.
Bad pun. All right.
This first story is coming out of British Columbia in Canada by Brenna Owen on the National Observer. Ty Spurl says he felt insane shock after learning he'd been cured of a rare genetic disease through a clinical trial using new gene editing treatment. The British Columbian man says he'd started that day last year feeling hopeless, but the news he was cured filled him with indescribable happiness. Spurl is the first person known to have received and be cured by a treatment known as prime editing. In a breakthrough by US-based Prime Medicine reported in a peer-reviewed New England Journal of Medicine last December. That's a big word salad. US-based Prime Medicine reported in a peer-reviewed New England Journal of Medicine last December, the 19-year-old who lives in Kelowna, British Columbia, had been diagnosed with chronic granulomatous disease around age 5, compromising his immune system. Dr. Stuart Turvey, a pediatric immunologist who treated Spurl for more than a decade during his stays at British Columbia's Children's Hospital in Vancouver, says the disease leaves patients susceptible to infections that can turn serious, even fatal. People with the disease don't live long and healthy lives, Turvey says, but the sequencing of human genome has allowed researchers to identify spelling mistakes in people's DNA. He says, in the era we're really in now is about translating those fundamental discoveries into helping patients. In a statement issued by the hospital, Turvey says he jumped at the opportunity to register Spurl for a clinical trial, which was offered at a limited number of sites. The only one in Canada was Montreal's Saint-Justine University Hospital, he says. Prior to the gene editing treatment, which Turvey calls a miracle, he says Spurl was taking antibiotics and antifungal medications daily to help protect him. But that's not perfect, he says. So every day there was a possibility of sort of hanging over Spurl and his family that some serious infection might sneak in. Other patients with the same disease may undergo a combination of chemotherapy and bone marrow transplant to effectively wipe out their compromised immune system and build a new one using cells from a healthy donor, Turvey says. But not everyone has an optimal donor to give those healthy cells. And Spurl was in a position where there was no good donor, he says. Chronic granulomatous disease is rare, he says. With just a few handful of diagnoses over the last 2 decades, Turvey has worked at the hospital. The gene editing treatment involved extracting Spurl's own cells, fixing the spelling mistake, and inserting the cells back into his body, where they multiplied, overriding his cells that hadn't been working properly. Hey, we just got a new report in. We're supposed to be doing this. Oh, yeah, you're right. We aren't supposed to be killing the entire body from the inside. Silly us. The gene editing treatment involved, we already did that. What that means was, the body wasn't going to reject those cells because those cells weren't going to attack his body because they were his, just fixed up. Turvey says it's a dream come true for his patients to be free of symptoms. Spurl, who now a second-year science student at the University of British Columbia, Okanagan campus, said he'd been living with constant uncertainty. Being cured of the disease means he no longer has to live in fear of developing a serious, life-threatening infection, Spurl says. I do like campus as well, and it was a risk before. There's a lot of bacteria in the woods, and so now I can do that without having the risk, he says. I was on a regimen of pills, and all those are gone, so I don't have to take medication anymore, which is amazing, he adds. Spurl says he was extremely nervous to be the first patient to undergo the treatment. When they put the transplant thing inside me, I was super stressed. Unimaginable stress, he told the Canadian press in an interview, but he had confidence in his doctor, he says. Spurl says his mother was with him at the Montreal hospital following the gene editing treatment, but she was in the room when he first heard he was cured. She reacted with instant tears of happiness when he told her, he says. Spurl says the success of the treatment can provide hope for others with genetic diseases, especially as the technology advances in years to come. Turvey says certain diseases may be individually rare, but considered in the aggregate, they're common. For us at BC's Children's Hospital, we estimate that about 1 in 3 admitted to hospital actually have a rare disease. He says Spurl's case proves that gene editing technology can be a cure, but it's not yet routinely available for patients. The next step, and these are complex steps, is to work on how to deliver this with our various healthcare system, and that's still an ongoing effort. In a statement issued by the British Columbia Children's Hospital, the provincial health minister Josie Osborne says Spurl's successful treatment is a milestone that shows the power of public health care, research, and global collaboration. This gives hope to families facing rare conditions and care, and shows how smart investments in science can lead to life-changing care. This report was originally made by the Canadian Press on February 26, 2026, but we're reading it today because it's good news, damn it. Give me a bad pun.
Here's your pun. What you got there is a big long story about somebody Ah, man, got that caught in my hair. Wow, my glasses caught in my hair. That's not cool. This thing broke. That's the freaking cool. I just pulled about a pound of hair out of my head. All right. Now I forgot my pun. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. In other words, you just got a big long story about a guy changing his jeans. It's such a good pun, and I had to pull my hair out. Literally pull my hair out.
All right, we got another story.
I'll pull my hair out. Maybe find some tape for this thing that's cracked. Yeah.
While we're getting gene editing therapy being born, there's a new children being born in the Amazon that is reinvigorating an entire population's tribe. This is by Gabriela Sa Pessoa on AP News, coming out of Sao Paulo. Hugapia and her daughters Aiga and Babaru lived for years as the only surviving members of the Akonsu, a indigenous people decimated by a government-backed push to develop parts of the Amazon rainforest. As they advance in age without a child to carry on the line, many expected the Akonsu to vanish when that woman died. That changed in December when Babaru, the youngest of the three, in her 40s, gave birth to a boy. Akip's arrival brought hope not just for the Akonsu line, but also for the efforts to protect the equally fragile rainforest. This child is not only the symbol of resistance of the Akonsu people, but also a source of hope for the indigenous peoples, said Ionia Yapichana, president of Brazil's indigenous protection agency known as FUNAI. He represents how recognition, protection, and the management of this land are extremely necessary. Protecting indigenous territories is widely seen as one of the most effective ways to curb deforestation in the Amazon. Yeah, I live here. You can't destroy the trees. Fuck off. Or something like that. The world's largest rainforest and a key regulator of global climate. Researchers warn that the continued forest loss could accelerate global warming. A 2022 analysis by Map Biomass, a network of non-governmental groups tracking land use, found indigenous territories in Brazil had lost just 1% of native vegetation over 3 decades, compared with 20% on private land nationwide. In Rondônia state, where Akonsu dwell, about 40% of the native forest has been cleared, and what remains untouched is largely within the conservation and indigenous area. The Akonsu's land, out in satellite images as an island of forest surrounded by cattle pastures as well as soy and cornfields. In the 1980s, deforestation pushed attacks in Rondônia. Rondônia's deforestation traced back to the government-backed push to occupy the rainforest during Brazil's military regime in the 1970s. Around the same time, an infrastructure program financed in part by the World Bank promoted domestic migration to Amazon, including the paving of highways across the state. Yeah, we need to civilize this country. Oh wait, we need the rainforest to make sure our planet doesn't explode? Whoops. In the 1980s, Rondônia's population more than doubled, according to census data. Settlers were promised land titles as they cleared the forest for agriculture and risked losing claims if indigenous people were present, fueling violent attacks by hired gunmen on indigenous groups such as the Akonsu. FUNAI made first contact with the Akonsu in 1995, finding 7 survivors. Experts believe they had numbered about 20 a decade earlier when they were attacked by ranchers seeking to occupy the area. FUNAI agents found evidence of assault, and when they contacted the Akonsu, the survivors recounted what happened. Some still bore gunshot wounds. The last Akonsu man died in 2017. Since then, Babaru lived with her mother, Hugapia, Aiga, her sister. The women, whose ages aren't known for certain, have chosen to remain isolated from the non-indigenous world, showing little interest in it. In 2006, FUNAI granted territorial protection to the Akonsu, establishing the Rio Omera indigenous land, which they have since shared with the Kano people. The two groups, once enemies, began maintaining contact, usually mediated by officials. The relationship is complex, with cooperation but also cultural differences and language barriers. That's right, even so close, they speak different languages. Something I think a lot of American natives and Canadian natives can relate to. The Associated Press requested a facilitated interview with the women through Funai, but the agency did not respond. Amanda Villa, an anthropologist with the Observatory of Isolated Peoples, said Akunsu women depend on the Kano men for tasks considered masculine, such as hunting and clearing fields. The two groups have also exchanged spiritual knowledge. The current Kanu spiritual leader, for example, learned from the late Akunsu patriarch. But the most consequential development for the future of the Kunsu may have occurred last year when Babaru became pregnant by a Kanu man. Linguist Carolina Aragon is the only outsider able to communicate with the three women after years studying and documenting their language. She works closely with Funai, translating conversations almost daily through video calls. Aragon also supported Babaru remotely during her labor and was with her during an ultrasound exam that confirmed the pregnancy. Aragon said Babaru was stunned by the news. She said, "How can I be pregnant?" Aragon recalled. Babaru had also taken precautions to avoid becoming pregnant. Well, I wonder what those would be. I'm very curious what their, what isolated people use as birth control. The surviving Akunsu women had decided they would not become mothers. The decision was driven not only by the absence of other men in their community, but also by the belief that their world was disorganized, conditions they felt were not suitable for raising a child. Oh my god! Wait a minute, is that why even people in civilized society aren't having children? That's crazy! Even the people who are dying out, like the culture's dying out, are like, this world's fucked up. Let's not bring any children into this. You can trace this decision directly to the violent context they lived through, said Villa, the anthropologist. They have this somewhat catastrophic understanding. Somebody's going to kill my baby if I bring it into the world. The Akunsu believed they could not bring new life into a world without the Akunsu men, who could not only perform but also teach tasks the group consider male responsibilities, such as hunting and shamanism. The breakdown of social relations that followed the genocide shaped their lives and deepened over the years. That does lead people to think and rethink the future, Aragon said. But the future can surprise everyone, and a baby boy was born. Aragon said the women were embarking on a new chapter with the Kanu people. This is actually really cool, because this stuff probably happened all the time in like ancient human civilization, right? Two tribes at war with each other, and they both slowly die out, and then they're like, we're the only people left. You wanna... something happens and there's new, and then you have a tribe coming together into one tribe, right? Two tribes becoming one. They're choosing to welcome the new child and adapt their traditions with the support from the Kanu and the Funai. Villa says the fact that the newborn is a boy creates a possibility of restoring male roles like hunter to the tribe. Researchers and officials who have long worked with the three women understood that protecting the territory depended on the Akunsu's survival as people. They sought to avoid a repeat of what happened to Tanaru, an indigenous man who was discovered after living alone and without contact for decades. After the discovery, authorities struggled to protect Tanaru's territory. After he died in 2022, non-indigenous groups began disputing the land. Late last year, the federal government finally secured the area, turning it into a protected conservation unit. Funai's Wapachana said Babaru's child is a hope that this is the next generation will indeed include an indigenous person and Akansu, ensuring the continuity of this people. Through the years of careful work, Funai secured territorial protection for the Akansu and helped foster ties with the Kanu. Oh, there's a cat in my room, I didn't notice. The agency also arranged spiritual support from an allied shaman, allowing the women to feel safe bringing new life into the world after decades of fear and loss. The Kansu form emotional bonds with the forest and with the birds. Now they are strengthening those bonds with a new human life in the world. What kind of relationship will this boy have with his own territory, Aragon said. I hope it will be the best possible, because everything he needs to be there. So there you go. There's hope renewed for the Kunsu people in the Amazon, who've been going through the rough of it, it seems. Only 20 people left in their tribe as of a decade ago. Can you think of that? Like, you look around and you know everybody in your tribe. Like, there's not one stranger, because there's only 20 of you. That's really sad. You're muted, so I can't hear you.
You didn't want to hear me cough. So you didn't want to hear me cough. I'm sorry. So who did this story? Because I want to make sure it's not the same story I got. Okay.
This has nothing to do with water.
Okay, so but I did mention Amazon a bunch of times, and it's in Brazil,
yes.
And my story's So it's not the
Yes,
same
I know.
story. Okay.
This is just about a baby being born. There's no water.
Ready for my
anyone
pun?
protesting water.
Oh, you're gonna like my pun because I didn't have a pun until you mentioned a shaman. So now I got a pun. Or as the holy man said when he interviewed, he said, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." Thank you. That just puns just flying through the air and I grab them, man. I'm sorry.
It's a good one. May the shaman rest in peace from that pun. Okay, let's go to your next stories. With a
Did he
segue
plunge to
wheel.
his death? They're not supposed to do that. Holy men are supposed to have all the answers, man. Okay, what do we spin there?
Their plan is dead, so they've been lost for a couple of years without their holy man. Limerick.
Oh no. You're gonna have to write. Okay,
that's not a problem for me.
Lego. We're gonna do the shortest story first. JaysBricklog.com. I guess that's
I'm sorry, Jay's Bricklog? Is that what
Jay's Bricklog. Brick blog, sorry. Brick blog.
Sorry. That makes more sense. It's like a log. What does a log have to do with this?
Jay Ong. Stop talking. Lego Snoopy officially revealed with the release of Snoopy's Doghouse coming in June 2026. That's right. Good news for you Lego aficionados. It's in time for summer. Lego's more of a winter activity, I would think. You're stuck inside and it's 10 degrees outside. Let's build some shit out of Legos. But they're not really still June, unfortunately. Maybe the southern hemisphere can get, on this now. Almost a year after anticipation, Lego Ideas has officially unveiled the immensely adorable 21368 Peanut Snoopy's Doghouse set coming in 1st of June 2026. This 964-piece model plays tribute to Charles M. Schultz's iconic Peanuts comic strip and features Snoopy and Woodstock hanging out in Snoopy's iconic and Doghouse kennel. You're like, how is this news? I don't know. I was just filling up time.
Hey, good time. It's good news for people who love Legos. Everyone's celebrating, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you go to your Lego stores or Amazon.com, just go to a Lego store. Just bypass the middleman. Plus, you have fun. Pre-orders are now open for Lego.com and Amazon.com. So there you go. Good news for the Snoopy Lego thing. Lego have done a remarkable job adapting original ideas, submissions. Snoopy Campfire by Bosso DOS 64, which featured a very minimalist and stripped back scene of Woodstock and Snoopy roasting marshmallows in a campfire against a starlit sky. Well, I hope Woodstock's in there too. You can't leave Woodstock out. The official Lego Snoopy's stays true to the original idea, submission by hiding a small foldable screen inside Snoopy's doghouse, which becomes a backdrop for the campfire scene. The addition of Snoopy's iconic red doghouse is such a smart and clever design decision as really ties the entire build together. Snoopy and Woodstock laid down on the roof of the doghouse, staring at clouds and musing about life, and the world represents the quintessential spirit of Peanuts comic strip, and I think Lego have absolutely knocked it out of the park. Woodstock was a little bird, but again, he was named after Woodstock, the concert, like the event. Like, he didn't appear until after Woodstock. So Woodstock was the guy who brought Snoopy his supply. That's my theory. He bought it.
His supply.
Woodstock.
His jet fuel, one could say.
Woodstock was the guy who had the good acid. Okay, so there's your story on
And
Lego.
What's the meme again?
The meme?
Yeah,
the meme
do not take the brown acid. Remember the meme?
Yeah, the meme. Yeah, that was an actual announcement at Woodstock. Do not take the brown acid. People are having bad trips. A bad trip is a bad trip. I mean...
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good in any way. It's just...
Every person you see has a face that's melting and they're turned into a gargoyle. That kind of shit. You're
something that really gives you a heart attack, I think.
Yeah.
All right,
the
I have
bad
a limit for you.
Just not good. Not good.
No.
Don't do it. Okay.
In a world where the Blocks brightly gleam. Snoopy dreams of a wild, wacky scheme. With each Lego he stacks, Charlie Brown gives him flack as they build surreal scenes from a dream. There you go. That's a bit meta to have Snoopy building Legos, right? Like you have his doghouse, and then he's also there building something in Lego.
Yeah, we can retire that one. So our next story is a bigger story about Brazil. We just left Brazil, we're going right back to Brazil, and it's about indigenous people and the government caving in. The government just decided, whatever, man. You're making it hard for us. That's what you got to do for the government. Again, the United States, our biggest weapon is a general strike. Just nobody go to work. Fuck it. You're all screwed now. We're not going to work anymore. Good luck. You know, I'm just saying.
Good luck with your GDP and your Dow, your 50,000 Dow, and there's nobody working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your Dow and your freaking stock market crash. Tough shit, oligarchs. That's what brought down the Soviet Union. I don't know how many times I can emphasize this. The Soviet Union was brought down by Solidarity in Poland, a labor union. AP News has another story from Brazil. Gabriela Saposa. Brazilian government halts waterway concessions after indigenous protests. The Brazilian government said Monday it would revoke a decree signed by leftist. Why are they going to say leftist President Luiz Inácio Lula? Why don't they just say president? You got to editorialize his name. What is the difference?
You got to make sure you know which side he's on. Of course he would agree to save the water. He's a dirty leftist. Something like that, I'm sure.
No, he did the other. He did the opposite.
Oh.
He did the opposite. He was overruled by his part. So let's not just jump on the conclusion. I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to figure out what they're saying too. Yeah.
Anyway, they're revoking a decree by President. I guess what they call him is Lula in the country. They call him Lula. That allowed. I think they do anyway. I'm just saying that because they just keep calling him that in this article. That allowed private concessions for waterways following 33 days of protest by thousands of indigenous people at the Cargill facility at Santarém in northern Brazil. The decree authorized the government to assess the concessions of waterways to private operators. In other words, let's give this big old concession of people using the river to just big, huge operators and screw the indigenous people that make money on it. I think that's what we're talking about. I'm not exactly sure. The decree authorized the government to assess the concession of waterways to private operators, including the responsibility of maintenance, dredging, and vessel traffic management. The decision marks a major victory for the indigenous movement, which argued that dredging projects, threaten the Tapajos River, indigenous territories, and the ecological balance of the world's largest rainforest. The Amazon plays a critical role in regulating the climate far beyond South America. Science warned that continued forest loss could accelerate global warming and disrupt agriculture as far away as the U.S. Midwest and parts of Europe. Revoking that decree is more than a political decision. It confirms that the struggle of indigenous peoples and the communities that resisted was never in vain. Yes, we protested and we won. The Tapajos and Arapuans Indigenous Council, which represents 14 peoples, that led the protests in Para State, said in a statement, "We won today. What won today was life. The river won, the forest won, the memory of our ancestors won." Right on. And there's a bunch of pictures. In a recent week, the Tapajos protests drew national attention and inspired solidarity demonstration across the rainforest in Sao Paulo, the country's largest city, thousands of miles from Santarém. They also sparked outrage on social media among left-wing and supporters of Lula, who is seeking re-election later this year. Some pointed out to what they saw as contradictions in the president's agenda as the government champions large infrastructure projects that could affect the forest while pledging to be a climate leader. Yeah, that doesn't quite work, does it? You're trying to please two different groups. You can't please everyone. You can't please everyone. As soon as you start
choose a damn side. Somebody choose a damn side.
Don't stand in the middle. But you know, who's going to think of the money? Just think of all that extra.
The rich people will think of the money. Don't worry about it. They got it covered.
Just think all the extra soybeans you sold to China this year. Right? The extra soybeans you're going to sell to China this year because of the United States' stupid tariff. A collage on Instagram contrasted Lula's 2023 inauguration photo, which a legendary indigenous chief, Raioni here, labeled symbolic victory against an image of indigenous protesters at a Cargill site called a concrete defeat. That was a long paragraph. I apologize if it didn't make any sense. Plans to dredge the Tapajos River are tied to another large Amazon infrastructure projects, including a proposed railway driven by demand from agricultural commodities sector, especially soy and corn. Yep, you selling that soy and corn to China. Guess what? You got to get it to market somehow. You got to build a railroad, huh?
Uh-oh.
Trump ruining another country, basically. Trump ruining another country. There's your good news, though. The government reverses course because, hey, the indigenous people are going to start, turning back into cannibals eventually and just start eating us, which I wholeheartedly endorse that, by the way. Just start eating. Yeah, I'm just saying. Hey, Epstein was eating people. Why can't we all, right? Hey, let's all join in.
I like the polar bear idea more than the cannibalism idea, but
Brazil doesn't have any polar bears. What can I say?
Import some polar bears and let them eat all the rich people in Brazil.
No, just send them off to the Arctic. That's what you do. You tell them it's an adventure, right?
Oh, right, of course. We've selected you for a special adventure, Mr. Rich Guy. You're so cool.
Yeah, rich people not known for being smart, by the way. Not known for being smart. Maybe they're smart with money, but that's about it. Go ahead, sorry.
In Brazil, where the rivers run free, natives fought for the right to the sea. With voices so loud, they gathered a crowd, and the government caved. Oh, what glee.
Oh.
Yeah, take that, government, you losers. Okay. All right. All right.
All right, next one. Tell me what we spend so I can...
It's time for you to get a pen and paper out. It's a haiku.
Haiku! How long is your story?
They're going to be long enough. It's going to be long enough. I think it's 4 minutes and then 8 minutes, so I'll probably have to cut them in half. Yeah, go get a coffee. I'll be reading my story.
I'll write the haiku and only got coffee. I got two things in order.
The first story is about scientists injecting stem cells into fetuses to cure birth defects. So our previous story was about gene editing. This is about also gene editing, but like before you come out of utero. This is by Ed Cara on Gizmodo. Stem cell therapy could represent a new frontier in treatment of certain birth defects. Yeah, you can no longer say, I want to abort the baby because we know it's going to be born with something. Instead, just get this done. Preliminary research published today suggests that donor stem cells received in the womb could help children born with spina bifida. Scientists of the University of California, Davis, conducted the world's first in utero trial of stem cell therapy for spina bifida, which I guess is something that your fetus has before it's even born, right? You can go and say, sadly, your baby will have spina bifida. They found that the treatment alongside parental surgery. Spina bifida. There we go. They found that the treatment used alongside prenatal surgery could be safely developed with no lingering adverse events seen in any of the babies once born. Of course, we'll see in 10 years, right? What's more, the stem cells have improved the surgery's effectiveness and consequently the children's quality of life. I bet it has, because they don't have a birth defect. Putting stem cells into a growing fetus was a total unknown. We are excited to report great safety, said lead study author Diane Farmer, chair of the UC Davis Department of Surgery, in a statement from the university. The only time I've ever heard of UC Davis is as a sports team, so it's fun to know that they're actually doing science over there. Good job, scientists at UC Davis. You don't get enough credit. Spina bifida. What was it again? Spina bifida?
Spina bifida.
Spina bifida is a type of neural tube defect, meaning that a fetus developing spine and spinal cords don't fully form and close as usual. It can vary in severity depending on how much of the spine is exposed, but it is often a debilitating condition that leads to lifelong cognitive, bladder, and mobility issues. Traditionally, It has been treated with surgery that tries to close up exposed spinal tissue soon after birth, which sounds very invasive compared to just giving a baby some stem cells, or I should say a fetus some stem cells. In more recent years, prenatal fetal surgery has become the standard of care with improved outcomes, but many children still experience serious health problems, even with prenatal surgery, including not being able to walk independently. Stem cells have been garnering lots of scientific attention for their potential to boost the body's regenerative healing beyond its natural limits. And that leads the UC Davis researchers and others to wonder if they could make prenatal surgery for the disease all the better, or the defect. Earlier animal studies appeared to support their idea, resulting in the current study, this phase of one CURE trial, or CURE trial. The trial involves 6 pregnant women who had fetuses diagnosed between 2021 and 22. All the fetuses were given standard spinal repair surgery before the surgery was completed. However, the researchers applied a patch of stem cells derived from donor placentas onto the fetus's exposed spinal tissue. The phase 1 trials are primarily intended to demonstrate the safety of the experiment's treatment, and this one appeared to be a clear success. There were no signs of complications that could plausibly be related to stem cell therapy, such as the growth of tumors, which is what cancer is. It's when your stem cells kind of go off and start building things that don't need to be built. The surgery also went off without a hitch, with no infections and complete wound healing in all fetuses. Though it's still too early to know for sure, the stem cells may have also helped improve surgical outcomes. MRI scans show that the newborns all experience a reversal of their hindbrain herniation, a sign of the surgery working as hoped. And none of the children needed a shunt for hydrocephalus, fluid buildup in the brain, before leaving the hospital, an otherwise common complication of the defect. So what comes next? These results are still very early. It will take more time and research to know whether the stem cell therapy is actually improve the long-term health of these children, let alone whether it can consistently do the same for others with the defect. There's certainly reason to be hopeful about this treatment, not just for spina bifida, but also for the conditions that first developed in a growing fetus. It paves the way for new treatment options for children with birth defects. The future is exciting for cell and gene therapy before birth, said Farmer. The researchers will be tracking the long-term outcomes of the original 6 children, and they've already begun to move ahead with a larger phase 2 and phase 1 and phase 2A trial of 35 children. So, good luck, UC Davis. Let's hope you win the fight against degenerative disease using stem cells. You got a haiku?
I do have a haiku before I pull my hair out again. Hired an editor. No more spina bifida. Not in my offspring. There you go.
Woohoo!
I don't know if hired is 1 syllable or 2, but I'm going to treat it as 1.
You can do whatever you like. It's your laws of poetry.
There's laws?
Let's not act. Shit. Yes, let's not act like poets haven't broken the rules before to get a rhyme in. Our next story is coming from Inside Climate News by Teresa Tomasoni. Southern right whales, we've been talking about them, who were once driven to near extinction by industrial hunting in the 19th and 20th centuries, have long been regarded as a conservation success. After the International Whaling Commission banned commercial whaling in the 1980s, populations began a slow but steady rebound. New research, however, suggests climate change may be undermining that recovery. So work on the climate change then. In my lifetime, the right whale was thought to be extinct, and their protection and return to the southern hemisphere coastlines gave hope for their recovery, said Robert Brownwell Jr., a biologist at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Southwest Fisheries Science Center Marine Mammal and Turtle Division. Marine Mammal and Turtle Division. The future is now in doubt. Southern right whales are no longer reproducing at normal rates, according to a study published this month in Scientific Reports, which Brownlow co-authored with research partners in Australia and South Africa. Historically, southern right whales females would give birth to a calf every 3 years. They're now calving every 4 years. At least they're still calving, unlike that tribe in Amazon, said Claire Charlton. Oh, she didn't say that. She just said they're now calving every 4 years, said Claire Charlton, a lead author of the study and associate researcher at the Flinders University in South Australia. The study found that extended calving interval had been evident since about 2015, with climate change identified as a primary cause because of changes in melting Antarctic ice had on ocean food webs. But I mean, they're still calving. What's the bad news here? The reproductive decline represents a threshold. I think they're just trying to be realistic, right? They're like, it's good news, but it's bad news. So let's keep ourselves leveled in the middle somewhere, because we're scientists. This reproductive decline represents a threshold warning for species and highlights the need for coordinated conservation efforts in the Southern Ocean in the face of anthropogenic climate change, the study states. Anthropogenic, of course, meaning human-caused climate change. Southern right whales congregate in Antarctic and subantarctic waters each year from about January to June to gorge on krill, their preferred prey. Each whale can eat more than 800 pounds of the tiny crustaceans a day. The energy they store from consuming this amount over several months is meant to sustain them during long migrations, where they won't eat for months, back to the warmer breeding grounds in Australia, South Africa, or Argentina. These whales depend on buildup of fat reserves in the Southern Ocean so they can support pregnancy and nurse their calves, says Matthew Hermishauser. I'm going to say he's Dutch. Hermishauser, a postdoctoral fellow at the Mammal Research. Oh, actually, he's probably South African, so Hermishauser is probably correct. A postdoctoral fellow at the Mammal Research Institute's Whale Unit at the University of Pretoria in South Africa, who led the study's environmental analysis. But the Southern Ocean is changing rapidly. As global temperatures rise, intensifying marine heat waves and melting sea ice are reshaping entire marine food webs. Krill, for instance, rely on sea ice to survive for shelter, especially as juveniles. They also feed on algae that grows beneath the ice. But in recent years, sea ice coverage in Antarctica has reached record lows. As their frozen habitat dissipates, the crustaceans are moving farther south into colder waters, or disappearing altogether from some locations, forcing their predators to travel greater distances and expend more energy while feeding, probably why it takes them 4 years to have another calf. The food is moving and changing, and so we'll have to work harder to find food, Charlton said. This is taking a long-term toll on the whale's health. When feeding conditions are poor, there are longer gaps between calves, said Hermishausen in an email. The timing of the reproductive slowdowns align closely with major shifts in sea ice patterns, ocean warming, and broader climate variability across the Southern Ocean, he said. The study data showed for more than 30 years, collected between 91 and 24 by Australian Right Whales Research, a southern right whale monitoring program led by Charlton. Every year, from about May to October, a population of right whales that feed in Antarctica spends several months in the Great Australian Bight. Not blight, bight. A vast bay stretching more than 700 miles along Australia's southern coastline, which serves as a critical breeding and calving ground. Over the years, researchers have tracked the whales and their behavior during these months, primarily using photo identification. This is a widely used research method that allows scientists who study whales to distinguish animals by their natural markings and follow them over time. Southern right whales have distinctive white and gray patches of thickened skin on their head, known as callocytes. Because of the shape and arrangement of these markings are unique to every individual, like a fingerprint, researchers have been able to use photos of these features to identify individuals. I believe that's how they found out there was a new calf that was born. Because I remember we did a story about this, maybe somewhere at the end of the year we did a story about this, and they were like, oh, a new calf's been born, because we don't recognize this marking on this whale. This information can and should be used to advocate for stronger protections for the species to increase the chance of survival across their ranges, Charlton said. We have this duty to manage and reduce threats. Noise pollution, vessel strikes, and entanglement in fishing gear all pose additional dangers to the whales as they migrate between their feeding and breeding grounds. The pressure that we're putting on food webs through prey harvesting is a really big one, Charlton said. Last year, commercial fishing vessels caught close to 620,000 tons of Antarctic krill in the Southern Ocean, a record catch that has raised concern among scientists about the potential impacts on whales and other krill-dependent predators. While the krill fishery may not take a large amount of krill relative to the total amount that's in the larger area, the fishery extracts the vast amount of the catches from a small area around the Antarctic Peninsula that we know is a critical feeding area for baleen whales, including humpback, right, blue, fin, and mink whales. Friedlander said that this can intensify competition for prey among marine mammals already under duress from climate impacts. To alleviate the escalating cumulative pressures confronting the animals, Charlton emphasizes the urgent need to expand marine protected areas and key feeding and calving habitats, which would limit or prohibit human activity. What are we even using krill for? Probably something not useful. The IC's treaty, which went into force in January of 2026, presents an additional mechanism for designated protection zones in international waters that would mitigate the impact of intensifying global shifting traffic on whales as they migrate. Ultimately, however, Charlton said, significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions must be achieved in order to tackle the root cause of climate change and reverse the current trajectory of warming oceans and melting ice for the good of southern right whales. The story keeps on going about more stuff, but make sure you just support the whales, tell people about the whales, because you don't want to see these creatures just disappear from the planet like so many tragic creatures have. And
yes,
hopefully, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing, but hopefully they can make that the baseline of calf every 4 years. Sure, it's not every 3 years like it used to be, but if that can be a baseline for the next few decades, that's better than it declining completely.
Haiku time, right?
Haiku time.
All right. Right. Global climate change is a whale of a problem. Sorry for the pun. Sorry, not sorry, but it had to have 5 syllables.
All right, let's roll our next segue.
Nothing but puns.
Dead
Nothing
inside.
One pun after another.
We've got
So
bad puns from me. I didn't do any bad puns. Yeah, you did bad puns first. So bad puns from me for your story.
You already got the big limerick spin for the day.
We got our 2 poems. Cover the 2 poems that we needed.
Oh, let's do the short story if page ever loads. I don't know what happened to the page. Just said, hey, screw you, Roger. We're just gonna sit here and not load the page when you click on it. Okay.
Screw you.
Got a little wheel going. The page was already open. All I do is click on the tab. I don't even know. I'm getting hacked, obviously. Let's just reload. All right, so here we go. The first story of our 2 stories segment here is from carbonbrief.org. I don't know if you remember when Diaper Donnie took office a year ago. He said, we're going to burn more coal. Turns out he was just saying that. Nothing has really happened other than less coal. Trump has overseen the largest coal decline in any other U.S. president. That's true. Again, he's doing more for the climate by being lazy. Simon Evans has the story. Stinky the Clown has overseen a larger fall in coal-fired power capacity than any other president, according to Carbon Brief analysis. His administration's latest efforts to roll back U.S. climate policy have been presented by Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, who is I don't even know how he took that job. Hey, Doug Burgum was up to be vice president, and he should have said, fuck you, I ain't gonna be vice president, I can be your stupid little plaything. But he took the job as Interior Secretary, and to him, Interior Secretary means let's deplete our resources. The opposite of what the Interior Secretary is going to do. But anyway, Doug Burgum was supposed to be taking the opportunity to revive clean, beautiful American coal. There is no such thing as clean coal. It just doesn't exist. There's no such thing. It's not a thing. Never was. Never will be. Well, maybe it will be, but it ain't now for damn sure. The administration is in the process of attempting to repeal the 2009 endangerment finding, which is the legal underpinning of many federal climate regulations. On 11 February, the White House issued an executive order on this garbage that he calls it, America's beautiful clean coal power generation fleet, calling for government contracts and subsidies to keep plants open. On the same day, Stinky the Clown was presented with a trophy by coal mining executives. These words earned shop contracts to his record in office, with a larger fall in coal-fired power capacity under his leadership than any other president, as shown in a graph. This is because coal plants have been uneconomic to operate compared with cheaper gas and renewables. And because of the U.S., most of the U.S. coal fleet is extremely old. When they say coal fleet, I think they mean, I don't know what that even means. The capacity of coal-fired power plants, I'll just read the chart to you. Under Biden, the capacity dropped by 41%. Under Obama, it dropped by 48%. And leading them all in the capacity of coal-firing plants being decimated is minus 57. Big old red stain from Trump. So there you go, coal-fired people. You got the wrong guy in office to save your industry. Ha ha. In total,
Whoops.
U.S. coal power capacity has fallen by some 57 gigawatts during Stinky's first and second term in office, compared to 48 and 41 under Biden in those order. Even in relative terms, the U.S. has lost a larger portion of its remaining coal fleet for each year of Stinky's presidencies than for either of his recent predecessors. We're talking all 5 of his years, by the way, not just this one. Dude talks a lot, chickens out. That's why they call him Taco. Trump's record hints at many practical and economic factors that have driven U.S. coal closures, regardless of the preferences of Stinky to this day. Indeed, Stinky made various efforts to prop up coal during this first term in office. They were ultimately unsuccessful, as the figure below. I guess a chart below that demonstrates, coal just basically going down steadily, and then Trump takes office. What? It's going on. What? Check it out. George Bush, okay. It's kind of going down steady, right? Then you get to Barack Obama, goes down a little bit. Then you get the Trump's first term. Boom, goes down. Wow, what happened, Trump?
Explosion.
And then Joe Biden, it kind of continues on that decline that's been kind of going on ever since Trump took off. It's actually the start of the decline. It appears to be 2016, right before that. So,
yeah,
I think Obama
Suspicious.
decapitated him effectively. I think he effectively decapitated him. I mean, good. We don't need to burn coal. Who wants to go outside? I remember when I could see the sky. No, that's not a good thing. Anyway, that's your quick analysis. Coal plants have been retiring in large numbers over the past 20 years because they were uneconomic relative to cheaper sources, definitely, and unrenewable, by the way. These unfavorable market conditions, alongside air pollution regulations related to climate change, resulted in a steady parade of coal closure under the successive presidents. By 2024, wind and solar generate more electricity in the U.S. than coal, and it's not going to go the other way anytime soon. Because if you can just put up a frickin' solar panel to generate electricity, why would you burn coal? And you got to just keep mining the coal. For one thing, all you got to do for the solar panel is check and make sure it still works. And that's about it. And it's like, oh yeah, it still works. All right, get on with my life. More recently, analysis from the U.S. Energy Information Administration shows that surging power prices have improved the economics of both coal and gas-fired power plants. That's nice. But gas-fired, again, is easier to get to than coal. They do frack it, but still. Sending coal miners underground is dangerous. Unless you're going to strip mine and destroy the entire ecology. These rising prices have been driven by increasing demand, including from data centers to higher gas prices due to increasing exports of liquefied natural gas. So United States, long story short, the United States has no energy policy, because if we did, what Trump said would actually be happening, but it's not happening. So we have no energy policy. Our energy policy appears to be let the market decide, which is fine for me, but if the market were deciding, we wouldn't be going to war in Iran, would we? Nah, we wouldn't. We wouldn't give a shit about Iran if they didn't have oil, and that's a fact. Anyway, there's your fun little news story about coal-fired power plants
Yeah,
going
fuck
into
coal.
the never to be seen again until
Hopefully,
we're really
yeah,
desperate.
that'd be great. It sounds like it's really
Somebody
under
steals the
pressure,
sun.
huh?
Yeah, it does, huh?
You know, sometimes suit happens.
That's right. Under pressure, as in, you know what turns coal into diamonds, right?
Hey, you missed my
Pressure.
suit happens though. That's also a pun.
What's that?
Suit happens.
What's that? Oh no, I heard that.
Oh, okay. You heard that one. Okay.
I just happened to be laughing at while you were saying it. That's all.
Don't
Oh,
take
yeah,
your
got
life
another
for
story?
granted. Embrace your inner coal.
Oh, a granite joke. That's what you say.
Oh my God!
That's a joke. That's a dad joke you pull out and you're looking at a new house or something. You're like,
Oh,
"Ooh, look at
really?
that kitchen counter. Is that thing marble?" And she goes, "No, it's a composite wood. It's not really marble." And you say, "Oh, I took it for granted."
Your next story. I'm assuming you have another
Marble
one.
and granite. Marble and granite, roughly the same thing. Okay. Galileo's my second story. You've got a pun for Galileo, who got tired of looking around Italy and said, "Hey, let me look at the sky and figure shit out." And he built this telescope. This is in science.org. Galileo's handwritten notes found in ancient astronomy texts. Oh, one of our all-time favorite heretics. That's right. The guy who was locked up for the rest of his life in a building because he decided that the Catholic Church has it wrong. The Earth goes around the sun, not the other way around. On a cloudy day in January, Historia. Oh, did I get this guy's name? This is science.org, Joshua Sokol. On a cloudy day in January, historian Ivan Malara sat in Italy's National Central Library in Florence, poring over 7 16th century printings of the ancient world's most influential astronomy texts. The pages belong to the Almagest, in which 2nd century polymath Claudius Ptolemy described his vision of an Earth-centered cosmos, which was complete horseshit. Ptolemy thought Earth was the center of the universe. Of course you do. Prove me wrong. As Malara flipped through the pages, he spotted something out of place. Someone had transcribed Psalm 145 on an otherwise blank page in handwriting reminiscent of a very, very famous Tuscan astronomer. That book, Malara came to realize, had been extensively annotated by none other than Galileo Galilei. I think so I pronounced it. Galileo Galilei. Malara's discovery, described in a paper now under review of the Journal for the History of Astronomy, promised new insights on one of the most famous ideological transitions in the history of science, the moment when Earth was thrust from the center of our universe. Well, that didn't actually happen. We just realized it, that's all. It's rare enough to link the entire new book. It's rare enough to link an entire new book to the textual record of Galileo, but the Almagest wasn't just any book. If Galileo today is often praised for rejecting the authority of ancient wisdom and helping make it obsolete, the Almagest, whose description of a geocentric cosmos reigned over Western astronomy for 14 centuries, was that ancient wisdom incarnate. The annotated version of the Almagest offers a more nuanced portrait, a revolutionary as a young man. Galileo's notes, perhaps written around 1590 or roughly two decades before his groundbreaking telescope observations of the moon and Jupiter, reveal someone who both revered and critically dissected Ptolemy's work. Oops. Accidentally clicked and minimized it. And they imply Malara, I keep wanting to say malaria. And they imply, as Malara argues, that Galileo ultimately broke with Ptolemy's cosmos because his mastery of the traditional paradigm's reasoning convinced him that the heliocentric system would better fulfill Ptolemy's own mathematical logic. That interpretation contrasts with many historians' typical portrayal of Galileo as being motivated by philosophy or even political savvy, not careful math. He has been presented as a big picture sort of guy, not interested in nitty gritty technical details of astronomy, says James Evan, a historian of astronomy at University of Puget Sound. That's got to be in Seattle, right? This didn't sit right with Mallara, a postdoctoral scholar of the University of Milan, skeptical that Galileo could have come to this bold stances on heliocentrism. Heliocentrism means the sun is the center of our solar system, without a strong grounding in traditional mathematical astronomy. He spent years collecting examples of Galileo, quoting technical details from Ptolemy to chastise scholarly rivals and make his own arguments. Hoping to find more direct evidence of a link between Galileo's and Ptolemy's conceptions of the cosmos, Mallara decided to survey early Latin paintings of the Almagest across European libraries, starting with copies in Vienna. Then in Florence, he ran across the annotated copy. As Mallara looked at the pages scrawled with Psalm 145, he was immediately reminded of Galileo's handwriting. Eyeing more of the book's dense marginal notes, his suspicion grew. By 3 a.m. the following night, a sleepless Mallara was convinced the notes were in the astronomer's hand, and the librarian said, "We closed 6 hours ago." No, I'm just kidding. Forgive the awkward hour, he wrote from his... Oh no, he checked the book out. No, they let him they let him check out the book from the library, an ancient text from the library. That's crazy. They must have asked for his freaking credit card or something. Forgive the awkward hour, he wrote from his hotel room, dashing off an email to two of Italy's leading Galileo scholars, but I can't believe my eyes. Michele Camerota of the University of Cagliari, one of the scholars Mallara first emailed, was quickly convinced. I regard the attribution of a magical marginal notes to Galileo as fully secure, he wrote in an email to Science. Yes, that's definitely Galileo. Couldn't be anybody else. Nobody in the entire world writes like that. Who else would be writing in a textbook anyway? Right. He owes his confidence to several lines of evidence. First, handwriting specialists affiliated with the Galileo Museum and the National Center Library, and scholars including Camerota have corroborated Malaria's view of the writing. Annotated styles and abbreviations match Galileo's. Second, the annotation's critical comments of several Ptolemy's ideas resemble passages from Galileo's contemporary works. The third line of evidence came from the initially piqued Malara's interest, the transcribed psalm itself. I'm still trying to figure out why they keep referencing it without telling me what it is. I'm not a Bible scholar, folks. At first, the psalm, both a prayer and a poem exalting God's greatness, had bemused Mallara. This was only the early printing of the Amalgast he had ever seen with a biblical reference, and it seemed contrary to both the modern stereotype of Galileo flouting religious authority and Malara's own experience studying Galileo's writings. But in another 16th century printing of the Amalgast in Florence, he found a note by unknown author claiming that Galileo, before studying Ptolemy, offered a prayer to God. That jives with the 1673 letter written in the mathematician Alessandro Machetti, who also said Galileo prayed each time he sat down at the Almagest. I don't know why they think, these people appear to think that Galileo became an atheist at some point, but there's no evidence of that, so I don't understand why they're, I'm just like, did he ever say he was an atheist? I don't think he ever said that, so he just said the church was wrong, that's all. You're humans, you're fallible. Just, you understand that part about being fallible, right? You're not God, you're humans, and you're fallible. But anyway, Galileo was called a heretic for just his theories, which had turned out to be true, and the Catholic Church didn't give a crap if he was religious or he believed in God or not. When we think of Galileo today, Mallara says, we tend to think of a late-stage version of scientific celebrity, defying both the church and his thousands of years of received wisdom. How one of your history's most famous iconoclasts grew into a revolutionary stance, though is still less clear. Mallara hopes his uncovery will open new lines of inequity and transition. The big problem is how and why. And I take issue with the first sentence of the last paragraph. It tells me how I think of Galileo. I do not think of Galileo in that way at all. I think of him as probably a guy who believed in God. I probably did. Never stopped.
Just because he was, just because he was called a heretic for his crazy ideas does not make him an atheist.
Yeah, logical fallacy identified here. You think just because he was a scientist, he didn't believe in God. That's a logical fallacy. All right, so let's do the pun.
Also, hello, Johnny. Thank you for being here and stopping by, and I hope you're having a nice time in Artopia. Okay.
So an interesting
Let's-
article nonetheless, that you can find somebody's handwriting for hundreds of years ago in a library. It's still just like checking books out. You can take it to your hotel room. Go like Galileo's
What was
here.
the name? What was the name of the guy who found this writing?
Malara. Sounds
right.
like malaria. Malaria without the
hear
I.
Malara.
Malara.
Let me do my pun. I hear
Okay.
Malar was a poi boy from a poor family.
Was he?
Galileo, can you do the fandango?
Figaro.
He was a poor boy from a poor family. It's a terrible joke. It's kind of a pun, but I just wanted to do the joke about Galileo, can you do the fandango?
Oh, that's enough of it. Scaramouche. Will you do the fandango?
Scaramouche, sorry, right, yeah.
Yeah, Scaramouche.
Galileo. Okay, thank you, Galileo, for, I guess, not being an atheist.
Spin.
That's what we discovered in that
We'll have a
story.
spin.
He was an atheist.
That's enough. That's like, when did he become an atheist? I wasn't even. That's just like, when did that happen? I didn't know he was an atheist, but apparently, questioning astronomy from 14 centuries ago makes you a heretic. It didn't make him an atheist. It made him a heretic. So, whatever.
I guess, yeah, those are not the same thing. Our next segue is sarcasm.
Perhaps.
So we're already doing that enough already, I think.
Perhaps Galileo, like most native peoples, considered the sun a god, right? Which is the most legitimate god we have.
Mm-hmm.
Sarcasm,
That's
you
true.
say, huh?
Sarcasm. Then this is going to be about the Spice Girls, so I'm sure you'll have a lot of sarcasm about pop music, British pop music. This is on Your News Culture by David Moraquand. If you really, really wanna own a piece of pop history, you better make it fast. The British Royal Mint is celebrating 30 years of girl power with an official Spice Girls coin, honoring the debut of their hit single, Wannabe. If you wanna be my lover, you've gotta buy a British Royal Mint coin. Remember 1996? Not really, I wasn't really alive. I wasn't alive in 1996, not really. I existed, but my brain was not recording memories, so I don't remember at all. Simpler times. Friends was wrapping up its second season. The first Mission Impossible film hit cinemas, while the horror genre got rejuvenated with the release of Scream. The Fugees were killing us softly with their cover, "Killing Us Softly with These Words." Brad Pitt and Gwyneth Paltrow were the ultimate power couple, and a little group called Spice Girls released their first single titled Wannabe. The iconic girl power anthem reached #1 in 37 countries, catapulted the brand to a global stardom, and ushered in Spice Mania, a craze that lasted roughly 2 years, and also helped them make a movie. I remember watching the Spice Girls movie. I don't remember what happens in it, but I know there's a Spice Girls movie. Symptoms included forgetting the legendary punk outfit Bikini Kill had already coined the term girl power in 1991. Suddenly wanting a ziggy zig ah, or whatever you could get your hands on. And the triggering of sexual awakenings when seeing Jerry's Union Jack dress, all under the guise of changing the mid-90s pop music landscape and embodying cool Britannia. Is that David's personal sexual awakening? The short dress?
Yeah, maybe.
Sounds like there's a personal one. Well, this year marks the 3 decades since the release of Wannabe, and the UK's Royal Mint aren't going to let that anniversary pass without celebrating the Spice Girls on official coins. So you've got there's some black and white Spice Girl coins and then like a colored one. The design of the collectible 5-pound denomination coins was created by artist Fionn Reese, and it captures the silhouettes of all 5 band members: Melanie Chisholm, Sporty Spice; Emma Button, Baby Spice; Jerry Halliwell Horner, Ginger Spice; Melanie Brown, Scary Spice; and Victoria Beckham, Posh Spice. Or should that be Dosh Spice? Now, I don't know that reference. Dosh Spice? I don't know what it even means. Sorry, that's a reference I don't get. Maybe it's because Victoria Beckham married somebody, right? Into the Beckham family. I don't know.
Yeah.
In a first
You
for
became
the
one of
Royal
Price
Mint's...
Girls.
Yeah, maybe. In a first of the Royal Mint's Music Legends coin collection, fans can choose their favorite Spice Girl with 5 different packaging designs for the uncirculated color versions of the coins. Each of the 5 packaging designs is strictly limited to 15,000 coins worldwide, according to the Royal Mint. Lucy Mackenzie, director of the digital and product concept at the Royal Mint, said, "The Spice Girls didn't just dominate pop music, they defined the 90s, for at least 2 years anyways. Now, for the first time, fans and collectors everywhere can own a piece of the legacy. The unique packaging celebrating each Spice Girl makes it one of the most collectible music legend releases." A statement from the band said, "It's a huge honor for us to be celebrated by the Royal Mint and follow in the footsteps of true music icons. 2026 marks a special year for us as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of our debut single and album. We could never have imagined that we would be recognized in this way. The first female group to be given their very own coin. What a moment for girl power." Other artists have featured on the Royal Mint's ongoing Music Legend coin series, including Freddie Mercury, David Bowie, Dame Shirley Bassey, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney. Why don't they say Lord Paul McCartney? He's a lord. But they said Dame Shirley Bassey, but not Lord Paul McCartney. Isn't that interesting? The collection is available to buy from the Royal Mint's website on March 3rd, so today. Prices start at £18.50 or 21 euros and go up to £10,535,000 or 12,000 euros for 2-ounce gold-proof coin in a 200-pound denomination. Zig zig ouch. So if you're a Spice Girls fan, you can go ahead and celebrate that and get your fancy coin. I think we talked about the David Bowie one last year when it was his death day celebration. I think it was either his death day or his birthday celebration, and they're like, "Here's a coin for him too." So if you're a coin collector, you better get these coins now before they become, I don't know, remarkably high in value. 'Cause that's what collectibles do.
Okay, I was gonna make a pun about Victoria Beckham, right?
Yeah.
She married.
Which they already kind of did.
She married a rich guy. Are we sure she's not a Price Girl, not a Spice Girl? Anyway, my sarcasm is I do appreciate the Spice Girls giving their requirements to be their lover, but I was just looking at the lyrics, and again, I remember these lyrics from a long time ago. If you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. What does that mean? Does that mean I get to like sleep with your friends? That makes like that's your prerequisite.
It's a reverse train. I don't know if you know what
I don't.
Yeah, it's a reverse train, an orgy, I guess.
Bring your friends over.
Well,
Anyway,
I'll sleep with all of them. Easy.
That's right. Yeah, okay. I'll get with your slutty friends. Let's go. I don't know. I don't even know what that line means. You got to get with my friends. It mean a lot of things. It's so open to interpretation.
Everyone's always taken it, I think, as having sex with your friends.
That's the way I take
Even
it
though
immediately.
it's probably
I don't
not,
even know what they
probably
want
not
to
how
take.
it's meant, yeah.
How about liking my friends? How about going bowling with my friends? Not get with my friends. Get with?
Go bowling. If you want to be my lover, go bowling with my friends. We're gonna get I don't know, a strike.
I don't know. If you walk in a bar, if you walk in a club with your boyfriend, if you walk in a club with your boyfriend and he goes, "I want to get with that girl," you're gonna leave that dude. You're leaving right now.
Bye.
Right? Get with? I'm sorry, Spice Girls. You confused the hell out of me.
British lingo right there, I guess.
I'm your lover, but I'm getting with your friends. So you're all swingers. Well, okay. You all go to orgy. I'm just like, these people had influence on small children. Oh, wow. Anyway, I'm just the crazy world of pop stardom where you can just say anything and people know what the hell you're talking about. Okay, let's do National Day calendar. It's, this day in history. So we wrap this up.
Let's roll our segue. Also, you sent me a video. I haven't put it in yet, but I heard you send me a video.
Yep, and I also have, don't forget I had a pun there, the Price Girls. That's basically what we're talking about here. I want to say one of the signs of the apocalypse are bands that just, exploit their sexuality for money. It's the sign of apocalypse. It's just, okay, I get it. You're pretty girls and you want to have sex with everybody. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just what? I get to be with your friends.
Which we're already doing right now, I guess.
I'm on a non sequitur right now. March 3rd. Oh, it's your nephew's birthday tomorrow. He's turning 23.
Happy birthday, my nephew.
1671, the Paris Opera first opened with a performance of Pomone by composer Robert Cumbert. Yeah, it had to be Cumbert. This is French. Cumbert, like Colbert. 1820, Henry Clay orchestrated the controversial Missouri Compromise, which allowed the mission of the Missouri as the 24th state. However, the compromise marked the start of the decades of conflict over slavery in the United States that culminated in the Civil War. The Missouri Compromise said, Missouri is a free state, but the next state that enters is a slave state. What a stupid compromise. It was stupid, and it's always been stupid. Henry Clay.
Really weird.
Disgustingly wrong. Disgustingly wrong about everything his entire life, Henry Clay. Missouri Compromise, also named for the American haircut known as the mullet, right? If you have a mullet, they used to call it the Missouri Compromise. Short in front, long in back. 1847, Alexander Graham Bell was born. He invented the telephone, the thing we've been talking on ever since. And some people just never get off the damn thing. And refined the phonograph, which was an invention by Edison, and he just said, I'm tired of these stinking cylinders.
Makes on these planes. Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's Alexander Graham Bell was the original version of Snakes on a Plane. He did the Samuel L. Jackson role. I'm tired of being on this well, the plane. Wait, there's no planes in 1876. Anyway, in 1861...
working.
Alexander Graham Bell again, a Scottish-born inventor. Wow, Scotland invented everything, didn't they? 1861, Russian Emperor Alexander II issued the Emancipation Manifesto, which declared the freeing of the serfs. Way to go, Alexander II. Free those serfs, not the serf. Not the stuff in the ocean, not that. Not the thing you get your board out and say "Gawabunga," not that thing. The serfs were the poor peasants that worked on the land all their entire lives and never got anything for it.
Good old feudalism.
Yeah, they turned all over the crops over to the tacksmen, as they called them, at least in Scotland. They called them the tacksmen. 1911, Jean Harlow was born. He was considered the original blonde bombshell. Her popularity with film growers grew each of her successive films, and producers saw her potential as a wisecracking comedian, starting with her role in
you need to jiggle your camera.
Woman. What's
your
that?
Camera connector is having a going on the fritz, I guess.
Yeah, we had to fire Fritz because he wasn't doing his job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Fritz, had to let you go. Okay, let's do a jiggly thing. Maybe it'll work. Jiggly doesn't work. Did it work?
That's normal to me.
Okay, so Jean Harlow, we're talking about her role, or I guess her first wisecracking comedian, starting with a film called The Red-Headed Woman. So she was the blonde bombshell, but her first big movie was called The Red-Headed Woman. So they were black and white. So I don't even know if you could tell the black and white. If somebody's got tints in their hair, I don't even know. 1918, the second of two treaties of Brest-Litovsk concluded the hostilities between the Central Powers and the Soviet Russia during World War I. Soviet Russia was very new in 1918, having been the Bolshevik Revolution having just happened. 1923, 103 years ago today, the first issue of the American weekly magazine Time was published. Time magazine was born this day. It was created by journalist Henry R. Luce and Britton Hodden, who aimed to inform readers about the current events in the U.S. and the rest of the world. I guess Time is still around. Magazines are still a thing. Mostly you just read them on the internet, though. Saves a lot of paper. Just think of all the trees we saved by not printing newsprint and magazines all these years. Think about that. good news, right? 1931, The Star Spangled Banner, written by Francis Scott Key, which is right up here in the Baltimore Harbor, just up north of here, about 200 miles or something. Yeah, and it was officially adopted. He wrote during the War of 1812 with a big-ass flag at Fort McHenry. Was officially adopted as the national anthem by United States Act of Congress. The backup national anthem was going to be, I don't know, Camptown Ladies.
Camptown Ladies, sing this song. That's a terrible one.
Doo-dah.
That's a terrible one.
I love that song. Camptown Racetrack, 5 miles long. Oh, doo-dah day. Again, featured
I don't know if that song was written yet.
Music. It featured in that musical. Oh, yeah, it was written by Stephen Foster back in the 1800s.
Oh, okay.
Of course, featured in that musical Blazing Saddles. 1985, that was my humor. It's not a musical. It does have songs. That's one of them. I get no kick from champagne. I like that song. The first episode of the sitcom Moonlighting aired on this day in 1985, featuring Bruce Willis and why do they only mention Bruce Willis? Sybil Shepherd was also as co-star, but we're only going to mention Bruce
being celebrated? What was so great about Moonlighting?
Because nobody ever heard of Bruce Willis before that. He was a complete absolute complete unknown. Before Moonlighting, and he went on to marry our favorite poster girl, Demi Moore, and have a few children. His daughter, Scout, is a folk singer now, in case you didn't notice that. 1991, following the high-speed car chase, a group of Los Angeles police officers beat the hell out of Rodney King. That happened this day in 1991.
That's terrible thing to celebrate.
Video showed police using stun guns and metal batons on King, beating the hell out of him after he pulled over. After he frickin' had already pulled over, all they had to do was put handcuffs on him, put him in jail. They decided, no, let's beat the hell out of him. So again, the cops were acquitted because for some reason they moved the trial for these cops to a white section north of Los Angeles, completely out of the county. And they were acquitted by a white jury. And of course, riots happened because they were guilty of sin and everybody knows it. But they were police. They were defending themselves. Yeah. A guy fearing for his life, crawling on the ground, was a big threat to those guys. Well, he was big, and there was only 12 of us. Anyway, 1996, Marguerite Duras died in Paris. She was one of the leading figures of the French post-war literary scene, frequently wrote about obsession and impossible love. That sounds like a French thing, right? 2005, Stephen Foster became the first person to complete a solo nonstop circumnavigation of the globe without refueling when he landed in Kansas, more than 67 hours in flight. Of course, he could have just done lazy circles in the sky, right? He could have just took off from Kansas, done lazy circles in the sky for 67 hours and just landed in Kansas. Said, I was in the line, circle the world. Right. My camera broke. I couldn't document it. This is the day before GPS was actually, GPS was ubiquitous in 2005. It was actually by then. So maybe he could have done the GPS. Anyway, he could have lied about it, is all I'm saying. My GPS broke. 2012, consensual artist Ralph McQuarrie died in Berkeley, California. He notably helped create Darth Vader's trademark look in the Star Wars series. So, conceptual artist, movie prop designer. Let's call him that. Right? Conceptual artist. I'm not a movie prop designer. I'm a conceptual artist. 2018, English neurologist Roger Bannister was recorded as the first person to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Died at the age of 88. There was no chance in hell he was the first person to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That had been done years and years and years before. It's just the British wanted some bullshit to fucking promote their athletic achievements. It's completely fucking, again, England just trying to pretend we're at top of the world in track and field. No, you're not. You just decided that there was a thing that existed that didn't actually exist, the 4-minute mile barrier. It just never existed until England insisted it existed, and then they threw some guy out there in a track to break it. He probably broke it 50 times in training because it really wasn't it wasn't a thing. It was completely destroyed by everybody almost immediately. It started getting destroyed by everybody. There's no way that was the first. There's no way. There's just no way that was the first one. 4 minutes.
Yeah, just make up something to
That's a tangent,
measure.
but there's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's more propaganda from England. 2024, Caitlin Clark became the all-time lead scorer in NCAA basketball, surpassing Pete Maravich's record of 3.667. I don't want to rain on her parade, but Pete Maravich never shot a three-point shot in his entire career. So calling the scoring record a scoring record is not really accurate. It's not even the same sport anymore. Like I said, Pete Maravich scored 40 points a game in college before they had a shot clock, right? In other words, you could just pass the ball back and forth the entire game before you take a shot. There was no shot clock. So Caitlin Clark with a shot clock, with a three-pointer, broke a record of Pete Maravich, which she never broke that record because Pete Maravich never had an opportunity to, 1, play with a shot clock in college, and 2, never took a three-pointer. So I don't want to piss all over the record, but calling it a record is a little bit of chicanery. It's not really the same thing. So congratulations to Caitlin Clark for being an awesome basketball player and setting a record, but it's not the same. It isn't. I don't know how many times I can say that, but it's just not the same record. That goes for any modern basketball record. The guy who broke Wilt Chamberlain's record, right? I think it was Kareem. Actually, Kareem's record was broken by LeBron James. You know how many three-pointers Kareem took in his career? 0. He took 0. They did have the three-pointer, but he's 7'2". He's not going to go take three-pointers all day. So again, scoring records in the NBA are a joke, or in any basketball, because they changed the rules. You got to stop. You got to have a dividing point. You can't have. Let's say baseball made a home run worth.
Well, they did do that
runs.
though, right?
No,
They said.
baseball
No, I
was
mean,
the-
I'm saying with baseball, they do a thing where they say prior to the 1978 change. You know, that's what they say when they say somebody broke the record. The first person
The big
prior to the
change in baseball
change.
was-
Yeah.
The big change in baseball was the DH rule, where pitchers in the American League, and only the American League, not the National League. It's never made any sense, but only in the American League, pitchers did not have to hit. They never had to hit. They just pitch, and you had a designated hitter hit for them the whole game, and that was his job. So all hitting records after that went out the window because pitchers didn't have to hit anymore. All pitching records should be changed. So again, all these records are, Once you change the rules, the records don't mean anything. It's like saying, like, if they changed the rules for home runs to make a home run hit over 400 feet, a 2-run home run, no matter how many people are on base. If you hit over 450 feet, it's a 2-run home run. Well, now the records are meaningless. So it's my little diatribe on people claiming that these things are actual records. The Guinness Book of Records would never maybe the Guinness Book of Records would recognize it, but they're not the same sport. Legitimately. Basketball before the shot clock, basketball after the shot clock. Different sport. Just a completely different sport. John Dillinger escaped from prison on this day in 1934. The notorious gangster John Dillinger escaped from jail in Crown Point, Indiana, where he's being held for killing a police officer earlier that year. The jail had been labeled escape proof. Yeah, go ahead and label your jail escape proof. And that's just basically daring somebody to escape. It says the claim did not hold up well. But Dillinger was able to walk out with a gun. He had a gun in there somehow that he had fashioned out of wood. Oh, he's got a wooden gun.
Wow.
Run for your life. And colored
set
with shoe
on fire.
polish.
He even
After
colored
absconding,
it.
he stole a car. Yep. After absconding, he stole a car and drove to Chicago, where he would be shot dead by federal agents a few months later. The famous Lady in Red.
Wow.
who was an
Tragic way to
FBI
go, I guess.
FBI plant. Dillinger was a piece of shit. 1839. Jamsetji Tata, Indian industrialist, was born. Nice name, Tata. 1845. George Cantor, German mathematician, was born. Alexander Graham Bell's birthday we covered. Jean Harlow's birthday we covered. American radio and television host Ira Glass, born in 1959. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Oh, Ira Glass, who is a personality, television and radio, no clue. And I've I've been on this planet since 1962, and I've never heard of a guy born in 1959. So if he's on a radio station, it ain't near me. National days today. It's National Anthem Day. We know what that's about. It's National I Want You to Be Happy. I always want you to be happy because miserable people are really hard to deal with. Think about it. National Cold Cuts Day. Not your warm cuts, not your hot cuts, not your frozen cuts, but your cold cuts. National Mulled Wine Day, National Pancake Day, and I guess it's IHOP is promoting this, International House of Pancakes, and of course you need a passport to get in there, I think. National Soup It Forward Day. I guess soup it forward means you just make some soup and give it to your neighbors. Soup it forward and hope they give some soup to somebody else because they can't really cook. But anyway, those are all your things for today, your haikus, your limericks, your bad connections, everything and your good news, of course, for Tuesday, March 3rd on before cold cuts, mulled wine, and pancakes, and soup. All of those things. Did I even cover mulled wine? I didn't cover mulled wine. It's National Mulled Wine Day, by the way. It's wine with a cinnamon stick in it. It's like, if you don't like the taste of wine, you got to put cinnamon in it and make it hot, I think. Oh, there's like an orange in there too, like an orange slice. So yeah, I guess. So it's all those things.
Hell yeah.
On before, let's say cold cuts. Cold cuts and pancakes.
Pour some cold cuts. I don't know, you
Cold
can
cuts
make a
and soup,
savory
though,
pancake. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, it's probably not popular, but you can definitely do it, I think.
Yeah, we can make things that taste really awful, for sure.
Non
I can
sequitur.
definitely make stuff that tastes really awful on
Well,
purpose.
you know,
or by accident.
here's your free non sequitur. This is really easy.
All right.
Or at least if I can find the page. Here it is. It's International United Nations Observance of World Wildlife Day. So protect those right
your non
whales
sequitur?
and all the animals. Yep, this is my non sequitur. We're not even going to talk about what you just talked about.
All
5,000 wild species meet. 5,000 wild species meet needs of billions worldwide. Around 9% of the plant species used globally for medicinal and aromatic purposes are threatened with extinction due to overharvesting, habitat loss, climate change, and illegal trade. 1 in 5 people relying on wild plants, algae, and fungi for their food and income. 70% and 95% of the population in developing countries rely on traditional medicine for primary healthcare. So this is specifically focusing on making sure that we have the biodiversity of plants. There's plants out there to do special medical and aromatic, provide those things, medical and aromatic plants that are just going extinct because nobody's taking care of them. Like, for example, that one plant that supposedly caused abortions. There's your non sequitur.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plant that you could take back in Roman and Greek and Roman times that would cause you to go instantly into a miscarriage. And they were having supposedly that's a theory, they were having so much sex that they killed the plant. The plant died. We maybe should have had a protected population of it somewhere so that it wouldn't get eaten up. And moa birds also. I thought moa birds were only birds that existed in video games, but they actually were real. In the Pacific Islands, moa birds, and they were eaten to extinction. They must have been really delicious, I guess. Probably because they're on an island, I think is probably why.
Here's your Dow update. It's still not 50,000, so we can start paying attention to the Epstein files because the Dow's not 50,000. Yeah. Still again. Ever since you said that, it's been falling, right? It's been staying around 48.
I think on purpose.
That's a lot. That's a big drop. Yeah, it's
it must be on purpose.
War in Iran has a lot to do with this, by the way. War in Iran has a lot to do with this. I'm just looking for what commodities are increasing in price because silver isn't, gold isn't, not today anyway. So there's got to be commodities or something. You don't sell stocks without buying something, right? You buy something. You don't just take the money and go, but I hold on this for a while. Typically. Anyway, let's have us a moment. I don't know.
That's it. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands, Roger from the East Coast of the US, as we finish off a good News Day. I hope you've enjoyed learning about all that good stuff that's been going on in the world, and keep it positive, at least for the rest of the day. We will see you on Wednesday for Wacky and Weird Wednesday, which will be covering all the weird things that are going on, all those smuggling animal mishaps and other things. I'm sure we'll find some stuff, weird political decisions and stuff. So make sure that you're subscribed to the For Coffee Podcast channel on YouTube. We need more subscribers on there so that YouTube knows. Enjoy watching the show. Thank you for everyone who's already following or subscribed. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you know when we go live or post a video. And here is our mic drop moment for defeating the government.
Yeah, defeating the oligarchs and their plans.
Stupid. Amazon destroyer, water is life.
Asia One News, I found. I love foreign news agencies from the United States because we just get propaganda all the time.
The Cargill River terminal in Santarem,
not saying they don't,
but opposing the dredging and expansion of Amazonian rivers to boost grain exports.
Sometimes it's better to hear about yourself from other people than from your internal people. For sure.
Right. I love South America.
Private port development.
The decree that the president signed is a death decree. It is a decree that will kill our culture.
Oh, look, a government listening to
their indigenous people. Yeah, let's not do that, please.
Indigenous leaders say,
and don't forget, in Oregon, they listened to the indigenous people and took out all the dams in the Klamath River. And look, there's salmon there now.
Protesters
getting all the way upstream.
Cancellation of a federal tender to manage and dredge the river, valued at over $14.2 million.
The sale of our river has become a commodity. The Amazon is not for sale.
Yeah, very weird to turn something you need to live and turn it into a commodity. Really messed up.
And has increasingly relied on northern river ports.
Brazil, you can pollute it all you want on its way out to the ocean, they're saying.
Serious environmental risks, including mercury.
The ocean's a big cleanser.
Habitat destruction.
Our river is full of problems. There is gold mining. There are ports. There is mining. And now they want to sell it to...
There's shit in the river. It's dirty. It's polluted.
Government officials say dredging would...
The reason Brazil is selling more soybeans again is because Trump and his tariffs.
...can proceed without consent. Protesters, however, say consultations are not enough and vow to continue demonstrations.
And it is very weird to be like, hey, can we join...
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Record.